along with Kirsty. That's me, your positive voice in trucking. Well, Gary and I have been on the truck for a couple days now. We already drove from Springfield, Missouri out to Fontana, California. We picked up a load in Colton. Now we are headed back to the Midwest. We are already pre-planned to pick up out there after we drop off and then head back out to Utah. So we're already running pretty good as a team. It's working for us. Yay! Woohoo! But I haven't really had any time to film, which sucks. We are now I stopped off for my 30-minute break. We're in Milan, New Mexico at the Petro, exit 79 off of I-40. This is a really awesome place to stop because there is so much parking. You know, I keep trying to give you guys places of where you can find parking when you're new and you don't have to be scared, because even today, like, I'm driving, I'm the one that picked this place. You know, it's just much easier. Why go into some place that's all congested? It's like where I was talking about in the last video, unnecessary risks. I just don't do it. And across the street over there, there's some kind of a diner. I'm going to turn it around so you can see. There's a diner back there that has truck parking. There's an Indian restaurant over there that has truck parking. And I think this Petro has like 300 or 400 parking spaces. Even if you can't find a space, you can kind of create a space. I'm not actually in a space right now. I just kind of created one because I'm only staying for the 30-minute break. Ooh, more wins. Something that I got asked is about retention rates and turnover rates when it comes to companies and larger companies, and how important is that. And I can honestly say that my opinion of that has changed over the past couple years, because when you get new drivers, new people who come in have no idea what over the road's going to be like, or how to deal with the stress, how to deal with being away from home, or just the time management, the freedom. A lot of people need to be micromanaged. They have to have somebody holding their hand at all times and telling them what to do. And when they don't have that, they can't handle it. Well, trucking just is not for those kind of people. You know, so what happens is, in people's first year of trucking, that's when the majority of people are going to quit. So if you wind up with a company, I'm watching, make sure this guy doesn't hit me. If you say you have a company like Dot Foods, for example, they want experienced drivers. Hirschbach is another one. They only hire experienced drivers. When you're dealing with a company like that, you're gonna have a lower turnover rate. Why? Because experienced drivers already know what they're facing. They already know what over the road is like. They already know the pressures, the parking. They already know the stress of, you know, dealing with driving all night, or they know what they want. And when you're brand new to trucking, you don't understand any of that. So people usually leave their first year. People who've already been in trucking for over a year are more likely to stay. So if you get a company like Dot Foods or Hirschbach, they're going to have a much, you know, lower turnover rate. And so people used to say to me, well, the mega carriers have really high turnover, So, you know, that means that they suck as companies. They treat their people terribly. Not necessarily, because the mega carriers are the ones that are doing the training. So if you get a company that has a lot of people coming in, you can expect a lot of turnover. That doesn't mean that the company's bad. That just means that, you know, there's a large number of people coming in that may not know or understand what this job really is. Okay. Well, I was at the terminal this weekend, and one of the topics that came up in one of the meetings was Prime's turnover rate has gone down a lot since I've been here. Now, a lot of other training companies will be at a 90-95% turnover rate. Apparently there's one right now that's reporting 150% turnover. That means not only are they are not keeping the people that are coming in, but they're even losing some of their experienced drivers to have a turnover rate that high. Okay, so turns out that Prime's turnover rate now is 35%. When you take into consideration what I just said about people leaving their first year, and then you take a company like Dot Foods that the turnover rate was reportedly 20%, you know, what does that say? That says people are not leaving Prime. You know, not in the mass, you know, transitions that people want to make it seem. And I think that one aspect of that is women coming into trucking. And I'm going to do a whole video about Prime and the resources that they have for women. I want to do it when I have time, because we have a lot of resources for women. And, you know, somebody asked me about retention and how important it is, so I wanted to make this video and put it up ASAP. If you have a company that's training and their turnover rate is going to be lower than some of these other companies, then, you know, I don't want to sit here and compare Prime and Swift and the others, but basically that's who we're competing against when it comes to this sort of thing. So people ask me, well, is Prime a good company? Well, yeah, okay, Prime's a great company. That's why I've been here for 4.5 years. You know, is it a great company to start with? Absolutely. Can I say the same for Swift? Honestly, I can't, because I didn't go there. I haven't worked there. I haven't started there. Do I know people that went there and started there? Yes. Do I know people that went there and hated it and said they suck? Yes. Do I know people that went there and said, hey, I got my license, I was trained, and I'm happy there? Yes. So, you know, it's not always what's the best company, but what's the best company for me. Prime is the best company for me, and, you know, but I've seen it change over the past few years. I've seen programs being implemented. I've seen women's programs being started and formed. I've seen the driver advisory board is something I was talking about in another video. That's a committee of drivers that gets together with management, and that was something that was started after I got here. The Highway Diamonds program was started after I got here. So in just 4.5 years, Prime's done a lot of changes for the better, changes to improve, you know, drivers' communication with management, to improve Prime's reputation with women, to allow women to feel as though they have a voice in trucking, they've also expanded the facilities a lot in the past 4.5 years. So what I see is that Prime's getting better and better, which is amazing because I thought it was a great company to begin with. That's not to bash any other company, but that's to answer the question about turnover rates. You know, as companies improve, yes, their turnover rates, you know, could go down and people are more happy. When you have companies that are made up of more experienced drivers, you're going to have a lower turnover rate because people know what to expect. They know how to handle themselves. They're not as stressed out. They can deal with being over the road. So those are just some things that I wanted to point out real fast. And in my next video, I want to talk about the Highway Diamonds program, which promotes women, and some of the things that they've done. Something else that I think is really cool, something else I think is really important to mention right now, not just turnover rates are important, but also rehire rates. You know, when they start discussing the turnover rates in the meeting that I was in, one of the first things I asked was, well, what about the people that quit thinking they're going to find greener pastures and come back? Turns out that at Prime, tanker and flatbed rehires are at 11%. It turns out that overall through Prime, rehires are going on. 15 to 20 drivers every week come back to Prime. 15 to 20 drivers a week. Think about that. That's 1,000 drivers a year. Now, even if you sat here and said, oh, those numbers are a little high. Okay, those are the numbers Prime gave me when I asked the question, so I believe it. Even if you said it's a little high, think about this. 500 drivers coming back every year. I still think that's great for, you know, a company that a lot of other people out there, YouTubers and drivers and, you know, owner-ops have been driving for 20 years and stuff, will sit here and say to me, oh, well, I'll never work for a company like them. You know, and when they say like them, they don't mean just Prime, they mean mega carriers in general. And it amazes me that I personally know people who have come back. They've left, they've gone to other companies, they've gone to work for mom and pops. I know people who bought their own trucks, went out on their own, and then decided to sell the truck and come back as a company driver. So the grass is not always greener on the other side. So you guys have a good night, and I hope to see you out here trucking along. Bye.